Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Are the Game over here at Cabbit Crossing. And we are back as three game masters sharing tips and tricks. But there's four of us now. There's four. A fourth one snuck in. And we're back with our guest, Christopher Tyner, a.k.a. Dreamslayer. And you can find over that at patreon.com/Dreamslayer Studios. And thanks again for joining us for another episode. And you did, usually Woody's picking a lot of the topics, but as a guest, you got to pick a topic for this episode. So why don't you let everybody know?
I have to interject because anyone who's keeping score may have caught I just made a Farscape reference. I'm done. Go ahead.
Oh, I missed it. What was the Farscape
Yeah, you totally did. Well, it's when I did this, but there was a part where John said, no, there's actually two people. So I did, four, so it was in the awesome episode Scratch and Sniff.
I missed it.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, where is your sci-fi street cred there, Marks?
I would say it's a Fantastic Four, but that would be a stretch.
Oh, all right. All right, Tyner, go. I'm done interrupting.
Yes. All right. What are we talking about?
So this episode we'll be talking about running a streaming game. And I started doing the whole streaming thing about 3 years ago when a friend of mine that had moved away to Mexico many years ago had come into town, and he was like, he cornered me at a party, and he was like, hey, Chris, are you still playing role-playing games? I was like, yes, Kurt, I am. It was like we were back in high school again and had to hide in the corner. Yeah. He was like, we got to figure out a way to make this work. I was like, dude, you live in Mexico. And when COVID hit, none of us had anything else to do. So I was like, well, you know what? Let me just see what I can figure out. And then I started doing the research, and then had been a new fan of Critical Role at that time and kind of used that a little bit as my basis, which is what most people probably do. Mm-hmm. But there was a big learning curve in trying to make that work. And I think when I first started, I had my cell phone and Zoom running through my cell and just using that at the very beginning. But I very quickly kind of moved on to really updating, all of my equipment and everything so that I could really do more of a production value. But you don't have to have that. If you've got a cell phone and you've got Zoom, what the hell? Go ahead and give it a shot.
Well, cell phones have some of the best cameras, some of the best microphones in a lot of ways. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
And I actually use a cell phone to record my games. I have a speaker and next to my desk, and I just put my cell phone in front of it, hit record, and it generally records everything pretty well. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I'm mostly recording it for my own use, not necessarily sharing it, but it's not terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure. Yeah. Well, so when you are thinking of really kind of upping your game a little bit, I mean, there are certain things that you have to have. And it's a webcam, a good mic, Zoom, or some other sort of broadcasting software. And then the thing that I added probably about halfway through was a second and or third screen. If you're the GM, you've got so many different things going at once. It's good to be able to have your streaming on one screen, your actual game on the other one, and then any other notes and anything that you need for the campaign, maybe on a third.
Now, I have to ask, so when you're talking about streaming, are you talking about having an audience who's watching, the game as a show, or are we talking about just recording, or just servicing your friends and they can't all be in the same place?
I'm actually kind of talking about really actually putting it up for other people to watch.
Yeah, because that's really the toughest one, because as I'm sure we can all relate. Like it's hard to build that audience, and there isn't necessarily a formula that we could say, like, yeah, you do this, and this, and you'll have it. Like for me, what my frustration is like in terms of like my skill and my proficiency. I'll happily say that I'm good enough to stand shoulders with Matt Mercer, any of those guys. It's just I don't have the presentation. I don't think I ever will. Like I cannot present myself in a way where I can match that level of entertainment, but I can certainly my mastery of the skill set. I mean, like I'm as good as anybody in the world. It's just I'm not going to have that audience like these other guys do.
Well, they're all voice actors. I mean,
yeah,
and even
but it's just frustrating because I have a little stutter and it comes out when I'm on like in performance mode, but it doesn't necessarily come out when I'm just talking to you guys. And that is frustrating.
Well, and I think if you go into it thinking I'm going to be the next Matt Mercer or Critical Role, you're going about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And when I first started doing it, it was really just a way for me to just kind of record it and have it for reference for me and for my players if we needed it. And initially, I was just kind of posting it up on YouTube and told my players, hey, if you want to go back and look at an episode, here it is. But then I started actually getting people watching. And then I was like, well, you know what? There might be something to this. So, I decided to invest a little bit more into the production value. And initially, I wasn't showing maps or anything like that. It was just us on screen. And, it was kind of theater of the mind for the people that were watching. Yes, I was kind of showing maps and moving tokens and stuff like that for the players at the beginning. Some of them, maybe not. Some of them were just, straight role playing. There was no maps, no nothing. It was all theater of the mind. Those definitely work better for something like that.
Yeah.
But then when I decided to really get into it, I started looking at the different virtual tabletops that were out there. I started with Roll20. Ended up on Foundry. I've investigated a lot of other, I think Greg, you and I were talking about Owlbear Rodeo that's out there. There's plenty of stuff to choose from. A lot of it's free, and a lot of it's not. I ended up with Foundry because it was a one-time fee of $50. And
only one that does that, I think, which is nice.
Yeah. And it gave me everything for me that I wanted to do. But in addition to having a virtual tabletop for live streaming, or even just recording it and putting it on YouTube, you really would benefit from like an OBS software, something that can basically take all the different stuff that you're putting in there, the Zoom footage, the tabletop, the virtual tabletop, anything else that you want to put in there.
You're using Studio, OBS Studio?
Yeah, I use OBS Studio. Yeah.
Well, if I can interject, I think there's a great value in what you're talking about, not just from the viewpoint of like being able to be a streamer, but like kind of where I'm at, which I think a lot of players are these days, is that originally we were all together in front of a table. And when you recruited a group, you had to recruit people, like from your town, right? Like, friends, right? And find people too. There was a whole recruiting technique you always had to be on. But, when COVID kind of like changed the game for RPGs, like it changed for a lot of industries, because now you're running in these situations where the only way to play is remote, right? Like, like I could still have that, Friday game night if I wanted to, but the reality is like the guy that usually hosted our games, like, but he's had like COVID 4 times in the last 2 years or something. And it's like, that feels a little risky. I don't necessarily want to go over there. And, because my wife's a bit asthmatic. So like, she's really concerned about it. But like the thing is that we, because we were playing remote during COVID, because that's the only way we could play, we started picking, let's this other guy in Pennsylvania come join us, and like, oh, well, my friend Amelia in California wants to play. Yeah, come on in. And then suddenly, and then another player moved to the Dakotas or something. So all of a sudden, only 2 of us are in Washington and everybody else is all over the country. And it's like, oh, this is the new normal, right? And and like, if as I'm sure Greg can attest, if you're willing to play remote, you can get anybody. We'll have no problem putting a group together.
Yeah.
But I think that we have to like let go of the idea that it has to be around the table.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
That was very hard for me, actually, because if you remember my first streaming, I had a 3-camera setup, one on my face, one on my dice tray, and one on my
cat.
Sometimes, but the miniature board, because I have all these minis, right? And I wanted to use them. So I had a 3-camera setup all going through OBS Studio. I think even had a green sheet on the bottom of the mini board, so I could use a green screen and make it whatever I want. Like, I went crazy with it.
Didn't you say that was a T-shirt?
Yeah, it was my old work T-shirt. But like the I would say if you're going to do that, just don't, because just accept the fact that remote is not in person, and you'll probably have a better time.
Yeah.
That was so much setup, so much headache.
But it was cool, Greg. It was really cool.
It was cool, but find a VTT that if you're not doing theater in mind, find a VTT that matches your style. There's so many out there. So many are free. Like Albert Rodeo is free. Foundry is a one-time. It's by the way, Foundry's like what, $35, $25. It's pitiful how cheap it is.
You could try Tailspire.
Yeah,
we saw that a few episodes ago.
If you really want to go crazy and wow people, you can go to Tailspire. Just find the one that works for you and just use that. It's so much simpler, because ultimately what's going to bring people to your stream, in my opinion, is not going to be the crazy amount of technology that you use in it. As long as you have a good sounding mic, that's probably the most important thing, right? A good sounding mic. You have a webcam, that's actually not as important as a good sounding mic, in my opinion. But like having a good webcam isn't as important as having a good mic, but it's good to have both.
Yeah.
And
don't want bad audio. It's terrible.
Yeah. As long as you have those two things, people are going to come because you're funny, you're entertaining, they're interested in the game you're playing. They're not going to come because you set up some crazy green screen with some type of miniatures on a real board, right? Yeah. It's just not the pool that's going to keep people. Yeah. They're going to stay because they're caught up in something.
Well, I feel like it's
one
like
of the things like.
Sorry, it reminds me of that Legends of Atlantis. No, whatever they're called. You know, what I'm
they're so funny.
Yeah, their setup usually is pretty simple, but they're really funny, and they're
just in a room with a mic in the middle, I think.
Yeah. So as long as you're having fun and you can hear everybody.
Well, it's kind of like that thing I was talking about last episode. If you can get people laughing, and like, you know, I think people that can deliver, you know, a fun one-liner, they got people like got the jokes, you know, but like, not that it would detract from the, you know, from the game, because it is performance art, right? And people have to understand their role. But if they can, like, if the people are having a good time and they're laughing, and like they're clearly having the time of their life, it's very easy for an audience to get sucked in, I think, to that experience, you know, as well.
Yeah. And just to add what you said, Tyner, was I use, I should say here, StreamYard is what we're using, not OBS, but Ben Greg's had experience OBS, right? I don't know if you've used Woody and other stuff, but
well, I don't let me in with Greg. I mean, I'm completely stupid when it comes to that kind of stuff. I would need Greg's help in a big bad way.
I think I did last time.
I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to that. But that's the thing, is you don't have to be any good. Like I'm running a game with some guys where I'm being paid as a pro GM every Saturday night, and all I have is a Zoom account that I pay for the year. I record it on my cell phone, and like, you know, it's just and every once in a while I'll like bust out one of these map books like we were showing last episode, and I'll just flip to, you know, a page that's cool, and I got it on my table, and I got miniatures down, and I just zoom in and take pictures and post it to Discord. And you know, and I actually like that better than filming, because it's like when you try to film it, I've tried, it's like you can't get close enough to the table. But if you got your camera, you can go in and you can take snapshots of what's actually happening, and like give the guys that experience of, okay, this is what's happening, you know. And like, you don't have to be that advanced.
That's what you did for us when I played your Orville, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was doing that a lot, and it's like, you don't have to be that sophisticated for it to work.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah. I would, if you want to get started streaming, I would say you can do it very cheaply. The most expensive thing is the mic. If you want a good mic, you're going to spend like $80 probably on like a Blue Yeti or something like that.
That's what I use, is a Yeti.
Yeah, I have one that's similar. But then I eventually got this because I like wasting money. But then,
well, you know, I get this Rode mic. It's $200. There's a mic that Julie usually uses that's actually just $100 or so. So, and those are all good, I think, sounding.
Yeah. And then, so you get that. You use any old webcam. It doesn't matter to get started, right? As long as it's not like super choppy. And that's it. You can use, if you don't want to use Zoom or StreamYard or something, you can use something called VDO Ninja, VDO.Ninja. It can do all of it free. It is a bit technical, so there's a bit of a learning curve there, but it's absolutely free. You can use that instead with OBS Studio. So there's ways to get started for cheap. But again, it goes back to the content is the most important thing. Those are just prerequisites. I don't know that word. Anyway, I'm a programmer and I should.
Prerequisite.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
What she said. He said. But the fun is the most important thing. It's infectious. If you're having a lot of fun, the people watching are going to have a lot of fun, and that's really what it comes down to. If they can hear you, they can see you, and you're having fun, that's the most important thing.
Yeah. So last weekend, I think it was, we were supposed to have a show. The show got canceled like 1 week before, and they effing canceled it. But so my wife drags me off to the coast. I'm in some little bed and breakfast somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and I've got a game that I have to do on Saturday night, and we're vacationing. So I just busted up my Chromebook, and I was actually able to run it with just my Chromebook, and it worked fine. In fact, the stupid irony is I've got this webcam I paid a bunch of money for, and I can't put this miniature up to the camera, and anyone can see what it is. It's all okay.
It worked this one time.
Yeah, I know, and you can see the dust. But normally I do that, and you can't see shit. And then I use the webcam for the first time on my Chromebook, and it's crystal clear. Like, what the hell?
I did that on my Surface the other day. Yeah, I was like, man, this is such a good camera. God damn it. I have this 4K camera up here, and this other one's better.
I know.
Like, your phone camera is so much better now, too.
Like, what is going on? Like this, I just peeled the sticker off, and then it was perfect.
Yeah, another thing to mention is you need a strong Wi-Fi connection, or ideally a wired connection.
That's a good point.
So,
I was using the Wi-Fi in the room, in the building, and it was not as good as I had at home, and it worked okay.
Yeah, you sometimes
a good Wi-Fi works,
but
a good Wi-Fi works if it's a strong enough signal.
Well, and I ended up buying like a Wi-Fi booster, which really helped me out. Initially, I was running just direct, through the cable, and that worked awesome. But I had a cable stretched all the way downstairs, and so it just
Mark knows what that's about.
Yeah, I don't do that at all.
Well, that's actually an interesting point, because when I was running the game I was doing, had to do remote. I kept dropping out. Like we couldn't get a strong enough, even when the thing was in the room, we couldn't get a strong enough signal to hold it together, and we did end up having to just run a cable. And that's how it worked, and I guess that's how it is sometimes. But the other thing,
Wi-Fi is a finicky thing,
because you need also your internet connection. It's usually when internet providers tell you how their speed is, they're talking about the download. They're not talking about the upload speed. And it's usually way lower unless you get fiber optic or something.
I have almost a gigabyte down, and then my upload's like,
Well, there's also another point that's really important too. Is like, if you're going to be doing this, there are hidden costs involved, and they're not necessarily something that you're like, because if you're trying to be a streamer, you're trying to make money with this, which most people will not, but like there are costs involved in running this, because you have only so much internet data every month. And we've had a couple times when I've been like, I've been running my, basically sometimes I'm running 3 games a week right now, plus we got the show, right? And there've been a couple times when we did the show and we got an email, it's like, you're very close to using up your data, and
you have a data max.
It
I didn't know people do that.
Well, in some areas, Greg, but it's
okay.
Some of us poor people don't have enough money for like these expensive, deals. But the thing is, though, is that is an issue for some people, right? And it can very much catch you by surprise, where you could be you thinking you're doing great, and all of a sudden you got this $500 bill in the mail that you can't pay, right? And so like that's something you have to be aware of, is like, that's the other side of technology, is you have to be able to have the streaming capacity to actually run that game.
So if you want to support us, Cabbit Crossing has a Patreon, but also does Dreamslayer Studios. So go to Patreon.
And I actually, like, one idea that I'm coming around to is like, one of the flaws in the industry, and I think it potentially applies to this topic too, is that you generally have this situation where 1/5 of the player base is bearing 100% of the cost, right? Because every player should have a core book, but like, usually it's only the GM and the weird freaks that want to collect everything that have every book, right?
We've argued about this before.
We call him Pat.
And so I'm actually coming around to the idea that I think maybe some of these players who want to play these games and want the GM to invest in these books maybe should pitch in a little, and maybe that's how it has to be with the internet cost too.
Well, and I think after you've got a little bit of doing the streaming thing, or even just running games, even at a tabletop under your belt, there is something out there where you can do just that. And one of the things that I do is I utilize a site called startplaying.games.
I'm doing it too, actually.
Okay, so that's definitely somewhere. I mean, if you want to make at least a little bit back off of what you're putting out there, you can certainly do that. And I mean, I run 2 games a month basically on Start Playing, and I usually end up netting about $100 a pop on those. So I mean, that goes a long way for sure. And I'm in demand. People want me to do more, but I don't have the time to do it.
Well, there are people that are doing that full time, and that's all they do is run games, and that's their job. But well, the thing about Start Playing, like the only advantage I think that it provides, and because there are other companies like that popped up during COVID, they're not the only one, and they only provide a way to bill people, because they are very bad about providing, like, having you have a way to get players, because you can put a game up on their site and you get nobody. Right, like you still have to go headhunt for players using the same old tactics we always did.
There's no discoverability. Yeah,
not really. I mean, like it's when I discovered that, it like really was a little bit of a downer, because you thought, oh well, there's this opportunity. Like, no, actually, I still have to do all the work. All they're doing is making money off of me, and like you actually could do better using, like, just sending people a Skype invoice. Or not, I said Skype. Fuck. I meant PayPal, right? Or something. Like, if people were just paying you through PayPal, you'd actually make more money. It's just that, like, then you run into the problem.
I have seen some people on their Patreon, they'll have a tier for people that they want a game with them. That's one thing they do.
But like the thing is that you have the problem. Then is, like, what if somebody decides not to to pay up, right? And like it, companies like Start Playing provide a platform where it's a little easier, a little more professional to get paid, even though they take a bigger piece of it. And
it gives you and the players a little bit of buffer, because then people can leave reviews and stuff. It's kind of like Lyft drivers and stuff, right? You could technically just grab a car and be like, "Hey, I can drive you around, Bob," and stuff.
Exactly.
But then he might be a serial killer. We don't know.
Well, like if you were just having people pay you through PayPal, again, you'll make more money. But then, like, you'd have to really know that they're really into the game, right? And they really want to do it.
Yeah, having a payment system is a value in itself. But like, if you guys want to move on to another aspect of this,
just so clear, Start Playing does not sponsor us, although they can if they
I wouldn't mind.
What do you think? I'm curious about what you think, Tyner, because I went full circle on this in my own experience. What do you think about interactivity with people watching?
I hate it. I'm so engrossed in telling the story that if something pops up in chat, because I don't have my third screen really where I can see it easily, I don't even see it until like 15, 20 minutes later. But I have like a bot on Twitch that basically says, "Hey, we're engrossed in the game. If you guys want to talk, by all means, have at it, but don't expect us to answer you."
So when I started, I had a whole technology set up with bots and everything to give inspiration to players, to have special effects and everything. But by the end of it, I ended up getting rid of all that, because, like you, it was a huge distraction. It took away from the game way too much, and it was just, on top of it, I had more fun. I found that I had more fun playing offline because of that.
I think if you want to encourage that, you really need a moderator to really be able to handle that for you, because there's no way you can be engrossed in the game and pay attention to what's going on in the chat room. And when it comes to like bennies and bonuses and stuff like that, if you're not paying attention to that, then the players don't get the benefit of that. So
we were crazy. We had it to where, like, they could spend a certain amount of money to make our players sing instead of talking prose and stuff. It went a little crazy.
It works better with comedy also.
Yeah, well, the singing one was fun. I remember when your players rebelled on that, but like
they got tired of it.
But it didn't take long either. But like you also had stacked up bonuses that they had lost track of too, right? And
yes, it was such a headache for me.
Well, so when we were doing the Orville stream, Tyner, did you know about this, by the way? That we ran an RPG campaign set in the Orville universe.
Oh, that's cool.
That's close enough to the show that we know the people that make the show saw it.
Yeah.
So like that's super fun.
Yeah, I'm going to be in next season. No, tease.
Yeah. No, you will if we get to do it. But like we're not going to be doing it again until the show relaunches. So,
that's
but
cool.
anyways, so that one for me in my one experience running a live stream, there were times in the process where we needed audience involvement for something, and what was frustrating is like I'd say, okay, well, we need this response. Now I know for a fact there are people watching that are responding immediately, right? But they're not popping up quick enough on
there's a lag
on the chat. Yeah, there was like a 3-minute lag on some of the stuff, and like there's a guy in there I know for a fact that he is doing the thing I just asked for right now, but like suddenly it's holding up the game because it's like there's the response is taking so long. And and I do agree with you. Like I found it very distracting personally. Like I wanted to focus on the players. Like I looked occasionally, but it was most
of the good streams don't do it. They will go with their game, then they'll take like a break and they'll go through and talk about and thank people if they did anything, and then they'll go back in the game.
Well, it was helpful that the players were paying more attention to that. So I could focus on keeping the game going, but it was so frustrating, like how long the lag was, and it was so much sometimes I just had to give up on it. It just wasn't going to work.
Yeah, and you used to have people, Greg, like naming PC characters. And that's where it's got to be a comedy because, if it's a horror movie and they're like, who's this guy? Is Mr. Poopy Head. Okay, that doesn't.
Well, but the thing is, he did have that stuff happening. And you just ran with it, Greg, and it was great.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Middle-aged biker or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some weird ones.
Yeah, and like people were like, voting on accents or something. And so.
Do you guys want to talk about, are there certain type of players that don't work with streaming versus do work with streaming? Have you run into that?
I think quiet players just don't work. I mean, you've got to have people that are willing to engage. And I think probably for me, the thing that bothers me the most, and it bothered me enough early on where I was going in and editing before I, posted it to YouTube because there were so many just long pauses while somebody was waiting to figure out what it was that they were going to roll
a headache,
or whatever. Yeah. Well, but I got so wrapped up in the time of doing the editing that it was taking the joy out of the actual play for me. And I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm going to leave those pauses in there. If I see something that's, 15 seconds long and I can see it on my editing software, I'll go in and swipe that out real quick. But I don't take out every little, like I used to. So
I have, well, I'll tell you after.
No, go ahead, Greg. I'll do.
No, I'll say it after the recording. It's technical with something that might help with that.
Well, I think that a lot of people have this dream of like, okay, well, I'm going to go do that too, right? Like, because like every game master sooner or later wants to write their own game, right? And most of them never do what I did and actually print it. But like, but the thing is like we have all this streaming. Like people see Dimension 20 or whatever, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna do that too, and they think maybe that they can hit, right? But the reality is that it's performance art, right? And in order for it to be, you need that lightning in a bottle. Like the reason why Critical Role worked is not only do you have Matt Mercer being this professional voice actor and able to, he's got the full package, like he has a presentation and he's good, right? And he has like good ideas, right? All three, right? Which is
he has players that also are performative.
Which is the next part, is the players are also full of energy and they're alive, right? And like you, in order for this to work, you need not just the game master to be like that, you need the players to be full of activity as well and able to cooperate. And those two things don't usually go together. Yeah. Right.
And you're not going to get that with a group online. Yeah.
Most of us don't have those players. Like right now I've got, like on my Saturday group, I've got one of those guys, right? And I've got a second one who's very like almost up with him in terms of like that level of, entertainment value. But I basically got two of those guys essentially. And then I've got one guy who is camera shy as hell. And then another guy. And then I've got the guy that's like that smart guy that never says anything. But when he does, you better pay attention because he knows what he's talking about. And he like usually has a better handle on what we should be doing than the players with their own characters, right? And so I got one of those guys, but it's like they're not really the group necessarily that would be like I don't have enough of those people, right? So it's like, and if you cherry pick everybody that that is perfect, they're not necessarily going to gel together or even want to be on that show, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's like you've either got it or you don't. It's lightning in a bottle, and most of us are not going to ever do it. It's
do we want to review what we said?
Yes.
Or is it okay?
But I think Tyner was about to rebut me a little bit. Go ahead, man.
No, I wasn't going to rebut. I think I was mostly just going to say, stream if you want to. That's great, but don't go for the whole Critical Role kind of aspect of it. If you're going to stream, do it for you. Do it for your players. The audience that's out there, it doesn't matter really who's watching as long as you're enjoying it. And if you're not enjoying streaming, then stop. And
that's absolutely right. That's why I stopped.
But also, if it hits, then you're lucky. Go for it, right? But I don't think doing it with the intention of like trying to create that hit is necessarily the right way to go, because. So many of us will try and they won't succeed.
You also have to remember, Critical Role was one of the first to do it. So there's a benefit for the people who did it first, right?
Yes.
And then also during the pandemic, a lot of shows that existed during that time really got a surge, and then now people are living life, going away and stuff, and not watching new shows as much.
Yeah.
So.
And take Critical Role as example, because in this way, I mean, they did not just decide to get together, start a campaign, and start recording. They didn't do that. They played a personal campaign until level 7, I think. So it's probably a pretty long campaign. And then they said, we should record this. That's the best place to be. That's the best way to start, is that you think you have something worthy of recording. After you've already been playing.
You should also, it's also, I think, really worth looking at the drop off on all their episodes. Like, it's a sharp drop. And so, like, that proportionately, I think, carries over to the rest of us. It basically shows how hard it is to hold on to an audience.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of reasons for that, but that could be a whole episode on its own.
Yeah, so you want to make sure it's for fun. Like with Cabbit Crossing, first and foremost, we publish books. That's where the money, any money we make, it comes from. So for me, the gaming stuff is just bonus material that we could spring off ideas from. So I don't I put probably too much time into it, honestly, every week. But we don't do a whole lot of editing and stuff because of that. Because like you said, Greg, I mean, it eats up a lot of time, and it really does.
It'll make you hate. It'll make you hate when you're doing stuff that makes you hate it. Just stop.
Yeah, it does. So,
I probably didn't put that here.
Don't think you have to do all that. It will still be fine.
We are over budget on our episode again. Go, Greg.
Yeah, so I'll blast through this. Okay. Start simple. Phone if you have it. You need a good mic, a webcam, and something to get together on. You can use Video Ninja. I didn't put it there if you want something cheap but a little bit technical. Theater of the Mind's easiest to start with, by the way. That is 100% the case. VTTs, find the one that's helpful. Alba Rodeo, Foundry's the cheapest. Roll20, there's some other ones. Roll20 is crap, so I wouldn't use it. But anyway, OBS. You want to sponsor us?
They're going to totally sponsor us now.
Yeah, the opinions of Greg Horvey do not represent the opinions of
that's not represent the opinions of Cabbit Crossing.
I like Foundry, but it's very buggy. But I like Alba Rodeo because it's closest to an actual table. But the OBS Studio will help you put things together. There's no way to get it. If you're going to use a VTT, you got to use OBS Studio, in my opinion. Don't use, by the way, don't use Streamlabs OBS. It's a fork of OBS Studio, and OBS Studio is a better tool these days. We didn't probably just use headphones. It's very important to use headphones because otherwise it just won't work. The noise canceling doesn't work. The echo cancellation is horrible. Don't do it. Use headphones. The wired connection, because Wi-Fi can be good, but Wi-Fi can be finicky. It does cost a bit, as we've talked about. My advice there is just don't do it unless you have some money to spend on it. For content, fun is most important. You could make the most technical setup. You can have all these fancy things, interactions. It doesn't matter if people aren't having fun. There's no point. If you're not having fun, there's no point. If your players aren't having fun, there's no point. Laughs help. I don't know what I said there. Post them might have. I don't know what the hell I wrote there. Just ignore it.
That's like you interaction. It's like you wrote a note in your phone. You're coming back to it 6 months later. This can be really important. You're like, what the hell was I thinking?
Yeah. I actually have times where people got more and more drunk as we played at our house, and they tried to read their notes later on what happened, and they couldn't even understand what the hell they were writing. It was kind of funny. But the interactivity of it, I think we all kind of agree it's not great to bring that interactivity into the story. It actually is a huge distraction and takes away from it. If you need to, just take a break and then thank people during that break and interact with them there, right? You getting a moderator is very nice, especially if you get enough chatters in the chat. And lag can make interactivity hard anyway. So if you have something where you want some advice from one of the chat, it doesn't work out well because of lag, and also the breaking of the story can be annoying. For as far as players to go, having a quiet player is kind of hard. At least if they're quiet, they should still be like engaged and into it, laughing when other people are laughing, right? That's important. And then make sure you get people who like to perform, because at the end of the day, D&D is basically us acting like we're actors, except for Tyner, who actually does theater. But the rest of us act like we're actors, and then we pull that into our game, right? So you want to get people who like to perform for sure. That's all I think we talked about.
No, this looks good, Greg. All right, Greg's got his bullet points. They're back.
Yeah, ooh, they're back.
Back, Jack.
So I think we got an episode.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Ship it.
All right. Well, thanks again, Tyner, for visiting and sharing your views.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, you can go to patreon.com/Dreamslayer Studios, or look up Dreamslayer Studios on YouTube. And that's it for today's episode. Don't forget, leave in the comments, what your experiences of actual play are. Or do you have any technical questions that maybe we didn't answer that you want to ask? Feel free to ask in the comments. We do check them out.
I usually reply to most comments, and I'll definitely reply to technical questions if people have them.
We almost always reply. It may take us a day or two, but we usually do reply.
Yeah, I was
usually Mark says, you should go reply to that guy. I'm like, oh.
I always like to think I'm going to do it, but I have a very busy week.
Yep. But somebody will reply. We'll make it a conversation. It'll be fun. So, and don't forget to like and follow, subscribe. We got a whole playlist of this and many other shows. So, until next time.
But by the way, I almost commented because I felt like pointing out that Keenan did to my show what I did to his campaign. So,
derailed it.
Yes. Yep.
So until next time, keep streaming.
Keep streaking. I mean, streaming.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
When the dice roll high, we touch the sky. But when they crash, it's a belly laugh. Genre